This is The Process Shot. I'm Michael, I'm stuck in a haunted movie theater, and I've seen Operation Mincemeat, a new British wartime espionage drama from director John Madden. Not the other one. It's based on the true story of the titular operation, a disinformation campaign devised by the British to fool the Germans during World War II with an outlandish concept. Using an unclaimed and disguised corpse, they would plant the dead man's body in neutral territory with papers that would suggest a British invasion in Greece, which would lead Germany to defend that territory and leave Sicily, the true invasion target, unprotected. It's a long shot, of course, and it's no surprise that it's met with criticism, scrutiny, and a few interpersonal conflicts along the way. For the most part, it doesn't stray too far from being much more than historical fiction, crossing the recorded facts of the operation and its rollout with personal stories and character arcs of dubious legitimacy and creative liberties. That is, for every scene where there's something about the actual espionage plot, there's an equal amount of time spent developing the characters, and generally in a manner related to relationships and romances, rather than any power dynamics that could otherwise threaten the success of the operation. There's a general back and forth between these, which can lead to favoring and focusing on one of the ongoing stories over the other. In my case, I'd have rather had less of the personal story, since while it does flesh out the characters beyond their roles within the plot itself, and leads to additional context about the country and government at the time, whatever does happen hardly connects to the operation, nor does it affect it substantially. They do try to connect them thematically through narration about these personal stories being part of a hidden war, but it's still treated more like flavor instead of anything larger, and the theme here isn't ever really given much other exploration. The greater focus on building up a backstory for the corpse is also a bit of a missed opportunity for some blending of fact and fiction, as it is emphasized that the false identity must seem as real as anybody else, leading to some characters beginning to live through this new person. In any case, there's also an interesting shift worth noting, where it seems as if the movie is nearing an end, only to ramp up again in the last half hour and almost start speeding through the rest of the story it has to tell. It's not an unwelcome change in direction, just a bit unexpected, but at least it's not a completely different story. Anyways, being a historical drama, there seems to be more attention towards telling the story rather than developing any cinematic visuals. That said, what we see isn't just flat and uninspiring. There is a sense of stylization, if only subtly, and a clear desire to show some flair within these otherwise unexciting proceedings, especially in the earlier stages as the operation is initially developed. It doesn't quite build up in this way over time, but it's at least more than simply filming everything as it happens. The film's editing and pacing also keeps things moving along pretty well, being able to get in a lot of information as it occurs without staying too long or cutting segments short. It also manages to keep the tone pretty consistent between the scenes and different stories, or at least knows how to ramp things up or tamper it down depending on whatever's next. The actual production value on display is also rather high, with a plethora of locations, effects, and casting choices that show just how much faith was put into the movie from the start, or at least how much they wanted to ensure that this story was given the respect it deserved. When it comes to the historical side of things, it does a good job, but it probably could have ignored or tampered back the relatively unnecessary and formulaic subplots and not lost anything at all. Operation Mincemeat, John Madden, 2022. 3 stars. I don't know if I'd recommend this outright, but for the historical aspect, I'd say that it's worth seeing. The rest, not so much. But your mileage may vary. That's it for me. If you like this review, leave a like. If you have something to add, leave a comment. Subscribe to the channel for more reviews. Between this movie and The Dig over there, I wonder if it's a British thing to have historical dramas become bogged down a bit by some sort of romantic tension.